Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. What incorrect info did your sex ed teacher tell you? 8th grade. The teacher said that a girl can't get pregnant while on top because gravity won't let the sperm go up. Curious about the pregnancy rates in your class after that little gem. One girl was already pregnant at the time. We graduated with a class of 20 with 5 children. The reason moms and dads can have sex without a condom is because you can't get AIDS or STDs if you're in love. I shit you not. Have you got protection? Gives her a poem. That men can't be raped because it's impossible to force an involuntary erection. My mom was pissed when she found out and made the teacher correct herself in the next session. Your mother is a hero. She is, that the head of the penis was called the glanus. She was super excited and told us it was a little known fact since she saw it on one textbook and never saw it where else. I think the textbook had a typo. Glanus the Good Witch. Glanus Morissette. That a man's penis can be big enough to penetrate a woman's cervix and get into her uterus. Actually it was a humbler brag. Student. Coach. When you put it in, does it go up into the uterus? Coach. Now, your average man. No, but some guys. Yeah. He got busted for diddling eventually. That's some hentai level shit right there, so that shouldn't even register as fact. She said girls can't come. When a boy asked her to clarify, he said, you just mean they can't ejaculate, right? And she responded, yes, also that, but female orgasm is a myth. That poor woman. Rest in penises. I don't wanna talk about it and you already know what's what. Watch this video and I'll give you the answers to the test after. We had this class for 3 months and he never took any questions. Ours showed us a video of a birth of a child. Glad we didn't go down to the hospital to see that firsthand. Wasn't ready for that at 13, but in retrospect that is reality and there's no point in hiding it. I still remember the fluid. So much fluid. I think a birthing video would be a good lesson for having protected sex. Plus bring in bunch of 2-5-year-olds to have them watch for a day. Then round the lesson off with watching Requiem for a Dream to ward them off some hard drugs. That a vagina has some kind of tube inside it, so when penetrating a vagina with a penis, the tube must be inserted into the penis hole before insemination in order for her to get pregnant. It didn't make sense then either. Edit. After all these robot jokes, I am fairly sure she is the original person who identifies as an attack helicopter. Sounds more like a coaxial cable than anything on a human. HIV is smaller than the holes in a condom. There have been recent reports of naturally occurring holes in latex that are big enough for HIV to pass through. Why does CDC still recommend condoms to prevent HIV infection? The reports of holes in latex appear to have originated from an article in Science magazine about latex gloves, not condoms. Holes as large as 5 microns in diameter were evidently identified in latex used in gloves. However, gloves are only dipped in latex once when they are made. Condoms are dipped twice in latex. Gloves are allowed to fail the water leak test at a rate of 40 per thousand, while condoms are only allowed 4 failures of the water leak test per 1,000 condoms before the entire batch is rejected. While holes large enough for HIV to pass through have been found in natural membrane condoms, latex condoms do not allow the HIV to pass through the condom unless the condom has been damaged or torn. Used properly, latex condoms are effective in reducing the risk of HIV infection. Source: positive org link. HIV can rip through our bodies, so it can rip through a condom just as well. Hippie girl that I decided not to date. We were told that condoms could even let sperm out because there are tiny holes in the entire condom. Straight sex, 99% chance of pregnancy. Gay male sex, 100% chance of STDs and also hell. Lesbian sex doesn't exist. Asked how lesbian sex worked, and was told I didn't need to know that. This meant that during my first time we had to stop and consult Google over whether or not we should be using dental dams. Another girl in my year got all her information from Star Wars fanfic because her parents didn't let her attend health class, didn't know women could orgasm, why she was menstruating, or what a fallopian tube was. Another girl in my year got all her information from Star Wars fanfic. I have many questions about this. When we were 8 we were given an impromptu lesson on it and I asked where do girls wee from. My teacher told me they wee from the same place as boys, so I believe girls wee from their penis. Not wrong, just not explained well. That it is impossible to pee with an erection. Of course it was a female teacher who told our class this. Every time this question comes up, there's a bunch of guys who bring this up, myself included. Why the hell are our female sex ed teachers so convinced of this? Probably because it's a fact that semen and urine can't be released at the same time. They probably get it a bit confused. You will never bleed through your underwear. If only. Several horrifying incidents in my life might have been avoided. Right? And to think, all those times I had to tie my sweater around my waist at school were just my imagination acting up. There certainly wasn't a group of fellow 7th graders laughing behind me. From my Bible studies teacher, a couple went to their GP suffering from what appeared to genital warts. Both were, they insisted, virgins before marriage. The warts were, quoth the teacher, the result of having anal intercourse, and the cleverness of God's punishment that all the evil bacteria could cause the condition. Another, my mother went to a convent. The nuns told the girls there that if they had been intimate with a boy, they should have a hot bath and pray for Mary to intercede so that nothing should happen. Mum said a number of girls dropped out that year, due to pregnancy. Mary is the one who got pregnant without the sex, if I recall correctly. Not much, because he said, all you need to know is that you're too young to do it, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Was your teacher Forrest Gump? Even Forrest knew what's up. I was told that condoms increase your risk of pregnancy. Also fellatio can get you pregnant because the sperm knows where to go. Edit. Yes, that girl got stabbed and whatever, but I feel like the stabbing was the bigger deal than the pregnancy at that point. You can't abort a stab wound. Edit. If you don't believe this story, I don't know what to tell you. You're very much underestimating the insanity of most of America. My town itself isn't even particularly conservative. We just had a crazy substitute teacher while our normal teacher was gone for a few weeks. I've given sexual education seminars and am passionate about it as an adult, so none of this thread is unbelievable to me. Christ, what year was this? About 2009. If you're worried about being pressured into sex, just keep things vertical because it's not possible to have sex without lying down. Edit. Since I wasn't clear on this, the teacher said all of that. The first part is good advice. It's not impossible, just harder. No pun intended. Mayo, this one is the most shocking for some reason. Like it's purely stupid. Like not even intentional misinformation. Dads of unruly daughters have larger penises. Only way that could be creepier is if your dad told you that. So start breaking some rules. For your mother's sake. 10th grade. A biology teacher was answering questions and was really confident in the answers she gave. Plumman asked her what's the fastest way a girl can reach orgasm, to which she replied, everyone is different but it takes at least an hour for a female to reach orgasm. I remember 3 of my classmates having that beach. Are you high face? Some women are incredibly unlucky. The huge variability and sensitivity that women experience is one of the more interesting things about sex emo. Some women are very sensitive and absolutely love sex. Others have literally never been able to orgasm in any way. It takes me forever to orgasm, so most of the time with a partner I just end up feeling bad that I haven't come yet and focus on them. Periods don't hurt. Duck you. Yes, they do. I realize some people don't cramp, even if I've never encountered a person without cramps, but still warn us. I thought I was dying the first time I had it. Oh, and they told us nothing about vaginal discharge. I thought I was peeing myself a little for so long. My mother set me straight about everything, but I'm still mad that I was told so little. I remember our school had a lady come in from an outside company to talk to us about periods. Pretty sure the company was Tampax. She kept mentioning tampons in relation to any period, and at the end we all got a goodie bag with Tampax tampons and a lovely holder that looked like a big Pez dispenser. Didn't care though, and was too young to really get the attempt at brand loyalty from a young age. She was this crazy Australian lady, crazy in a good way. And at the time, mid-90s and the home counties, the only Aussies you really saw were on TV, so everyone was pretty much captivated by this larger-than-life Aussie woman making jokes about periods and boys and your body parts. She even had us shouting out some embarrassing words to desensitize us to saying them, and how we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. She definitely told us periods hurt. They can hurt a lot. Some people might need to stay off school for a day or two. To which everyone was of course like, yes, duvet day. She was proper funny and engaging. That's how all chat about this sort of thing with kids should be. That sounds like it was wonderful. That women don't die during childbirth, and that was just a myth. Whoa. On Thursday of last week, a 25-year-old co-worker's wife went into labor. He was so fired up and sprinted to his car. On Friday we were informed that there were complications during delivery and both the mother and newborn passed away. It's 2017 in a major US city and it still happened. I got to know this girl back in HS. Her one dream was to be married to a loving man. Her household life was ducked and have a child. Basic happy family type story, except her tragic past made it more sweet in a way. She was going to fix her life. She later got married to a guy who she loved and he loved her. Real sickeningly sweet lovey-dovey kind of thing. About a year later she has a kid. 2 days later, after realizing her one true dream, she dies of septic shock in a hospital at 22 years old. It's like her life was one huge tragedy capped with that. It's so sad and so incredibly rare today that it really makes her story that much more insane. Join our community Discord, link in description. That you can get pregnant through any type of sex, anal, oral, ext. That you can't pee with an erection. I thought that she meant boys were literally physically unable to do that, not that it was just difficult. So the first time I did it, I thought something was horribly wrong with me. I had a teacher that told me that too. I told her she was wrong, and she told me I was wrong. I told her I'd prove it, and she wrote me up. What kind of teacher tries to argue with a boy about something like that? How can she possibly think she knows more than the one who actually has a penis? Anytime a boy has his hands in his pockets, he's hiding his erection. Every boy in school made sure to always have their hands on show from that day onwards. The real misinformation here is that erections are something to be ashamed of. Seriously, especially at that age. They just ducking happen, man. No control. Not exactly incorrect, but where I grew up sex ed was abstinence only. I could tell my teacher wanted to teach us more but she wasn't allowed to. Unfortunate for all involved. That condoms were 80% effective per time of use, and that was only if you used them correctly. Actually, condoms are 99.9% effective over the course of a year if used correctly. Her theory was that 1 in 5 times you had sex with a condom would result in pregnancy, or at least that's the lie she told. I never thought very much of her, and this certainly didn't help. By her logic, if you had regular sex using condoms you were basically guaranteed to start a baby in a few weeks. Edit. Okay, 98% effective. Doesn't change the story. Buy a box of 20 and just throw away every 5th condom. Done. A great statistical solution. IMO, the first time I took a sex ed class was okay, but the teacher was very traditional for lack of a better word. He told us about what it was. Condoms. STDs. Abstinence as an option. Pregnancy, and the class for the most part felt pretty informative and not judgmental. And then some kid raised his hand and asked about anal sex, and the teacher said, "Oh, you mean gay sex?" And he said, "No, I mean anal sex." And then the teacher said, "That's how gays have sex, it's gay sex." And then he talked about lubes and how you can also lube for vaginal normal sex. And then someone else asked, what if a man and woman have anal sex, and he said then the man is secretly gay. And he was dead centered on that way of thinking. Women don't want to have anal sex, only a gay man would pressure a woman into gay sex so he can find her attractive. That's how you hear about gay men having kids before being found out as gay. They start with gay sex and finish normally so they can have kids and appear normal. There was a collective cringe from most of us, but I wonder if anyone in that class or in another now thinks like that. Today I learned my boyfriend is secretly gay. Shit. And if you like it, you're secretly a gay man too. Any kind of unprotected sex will 100% always result in pregnancy and AIDS. Pren-AIDS. Possibly not in that order. Certain teacher would omit the part about protection and imply that this was the inevitable result of sexual contact of any kind. Kids know when you're trying to scare them. The whole auditorium would roll their eyes in unison. Edit. Roll comma roll. If you have sex you will get chlamydia and die. I don't really know if this properly answers the question because it's more the teacher's subjective opinion rather than incorrect info, but whatever. So in grade 9 we had a 2-ish week long unit on sex ed during gym class. Instead of going to the gym and playing dodgeball we were looking at anatomically correct diagrams of boobies and peepees. Closer to the end of the unit our teacher brought in 2 nurses from a local clinic to teach us about STDs, STIs and safe sex practices. Both nurses were older women that seemed to despise us teenage boys. We looked at a bunch of nasty pictures of infected genitals for a while when one of the nurses, abruptly, went on a rant about how one of her friends slept with a guy in high school. They got married. They were each other's first and only. All of a sudden her friend gets an STD and goes to the doctor. She was able to piece together that her husband had been cheating on her with someone else and that's how he gave her an STD. After the nurse was done her story she just glared at the class of young men and straight up tells us that we should never be allowed to have sex. I think her words were men should never do it. Never. So in short, men aren't allowed to have sex anymore because one guy was a douche. Edit. Apparently the word supple bothers people. Sorry. 3. That friend was definitely her. Most people choose to abstain from sex until marriage. I tried but couldn't resist myself. I, too, am weak. Average penis size is 8 inches. You can imagine how that would affect self-esteem. I'll just give it to her twice. Problem solved. It's all about how you use it. 2 inches at 200 miles per hour is a lot of dong. It is impossible to ejaculate while conscious unless having sex with a member of the opposite sex. This sounds like the type of teacher that has also never heard of masturbating and has possibly never seen a penis before. So I momentarily black out every time I jack off. Is that going to cause brain damage? Teach said the clit didn't really exist and that there was only one hole in the vagina. Scary old man. I never liked him. But I did get to go and found the truth for myself. So that was neato. Edit. Found. Not fund. Ha. Prostitute jokes. Well, there is one hole in the vagina. The urethra is above the vagina. In my school days we never had a dedicated sex education class. But during our biology classes on reproduction we were told that homosexual sex between 2 men would lead to jail time, chemical castration, guaranteed AIDS infection, and if they could get their way, public hanging. Also detention, which typical meant caning and writing 1000s of repeating lines pertaining to some nonsense shit. Wait, that is true in Saudi Arabia. That I'd eventually have sex. Duck. That women can't have orgasms unless they're being penetrated. I pity that guy's wife. Maybe that guy's wife was just like that. The worst sex ed advice I ever got was from my mother. According to her, there are 2 likely scenarios of me dating in high school. 1. Girl will falsely accuse me of rape, sexual harassment and ruin my life. 2. Girl will cheat on me and trick me into raising someone else's baby and ruin my life. As a result, I was absolutely terrified of letting anyone know I was attracted to anyone and actively avoided girls who showed interest in me. She messed me up well into my 20s. She sounds like the type of mother who will then be upset to have no grandchildren when you turn 30. When did you guys start talking to my mom? To be fair to her, I actually had number 2 tried on me. My sex ed teacher passed around a cup of water and had everyone spit in it. When she got it back, she compared it to having sex with multiple partners. That's a better metaphor for a gangbang than anything. This reminds me of the STD practicum we once did on high school. Everybody got a cup of water and one person had an additional liquid STD. We had to mix up our cups, which represented sex. At the end of the hour everybody had the additional liquid in its cup. Basically, stay a virgin until your wedding night and let your husband have sex. Missionary. When he wants, and you should never enjoy the act. I'm just imagining the parents of the bride sitting in the next room shouting, "That sounded like a moan. You'd better not be enjoying this." AIDS spread to humans when a gay guy had sex with a monkey. Like, Straight up. Didn't imply it or anything. Just passed it off as fact to a bunch of 7th graders. That women peed out of their clitoris and that it was like a small penis. She was 28 years old. Not necessarily incorrect info, just selective info propaganda. When I took sex ed, the emphasis was on the diseases you could get from unprotected sex. Yes, you can get STDs. No, you won't get them every time you have any kind of unprotected sex, as my sex ed courses would have had us believe. Kinda sad when your education focuses more on gross pictures of diseased genitals than how to put on a ducking condom. It took me a while to figure out how to put on my first condom. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.